Veryovkina Cave, plunging to a staggering depth of 7,257 feet, 2,212 meters, holds the title of Earth's deepest known cave. Its sheer immensity requires expeditions lasting over 4 days, utilizing thousands of feet of rope just to reach its bottom. This narrative recounts some of the harrowing incidents that have unfolded within its depths. Nestled along the border between Russia and Georgia lies the Caucasus mountain range, notable for several features. It boasts Europe's highest peak, Mount Elbrus, towering at 18,500 feet, 5,639 meters. Within the western region of Abkhazia, a sub-range known as the Gagra Range emerges. While its peaks reach just over 11,000 feet, the Gagra Range is primarily recognized for its geological composition: limestone, sculpted over millennia by flowing rivers. These prehistoric waterways carved deep canyons and some of the largest known cave systems on the planet. Remarkably, 4 of Earth's deepest caves reside within the Gagra Mountains, with Veryovkina Cave claiming the top spot, exceeding 7,000 feet in depth, equivalent to stacking 23 statues of liberty. The entrance to Veryovkina Cave sits at an altitude of 7,500 feet, requiring an arduous climb just to reach it. Amidst the surrounding rocky cliffs, the entrance appears as a relatively unassuming hole in the ground, belying the vast subterranean world below. Initially discovered in 1968, explorers only descended to 377 feet. The cave was rediscovered in 1983 by a separate team of speleologists from Moscow's Perovo Speleo Club. Over the next 3 years, expeditions extended the explored depth to approximately 1,400 feet, followed by a hiatus until 2000. Explorations resumed that year, but it wasn't until 2015 that a crucial new shaft was discovered, unlocking the true depth of Veryovkina. By 2017, the known depth had expanded dramatically to 7,200 feet, with over 10.6 miles of tunnels and passages mapped. Finally, in March 2018, the deepest point was reached at the bottom of a subterranean lake, marking Veryovkina's total depth at 7,257 feet. 6 months later, in September, the Perovo team returned, accompanied by photographers Robbie Schoen and Jeff Wade. This expedition, led by Pavel Demidov, aimed to collect samples of potential undiscovered species and explore promising horizontal passages at the cave's bottom, with Robbie and Jeff documenting the entire endeavor. Expeditions into caves as complex as Veryovkina necessitate extensive preparation, akin to mountaineering expeditions. The multi-camp system, familiar to Everest climbers, is employed here as well. Multiple camps are established at varying depths to store supplies and provide rest stops. The sheer volume of equipment for multi-day cave expeditions requires multiple trips to transport everything needed for a safe descent. Veryovkina employs 6 such camps. From the entrance, equipped with specialized clothing, harnesses, and headlamps, the team descends through a series of tight tunnels to the first permanent camp at 2,000 feet. Over the next 4 days, Robbie, Jeff, and the Perovo team progress to Camp 6, situated at 6,900 feet. They endured near-freezing temperatures, crawled through mud and water, squeezed through narrow passages, and descended 100-foot, 30.5-meter shafts suspended only by ropes. For 3 days, Camp 6 served as their base. One objective was to reach the lake at the bottom, a stunning expanse of turquoise water surrounded by black limestone, measuring 50 feet, 15.24 meters, long, 25 feet, 7.6 meters, wide, and 28 feet, 8.5 meters, deep. On the 7th day, 2 team members departed early. Upon reaching Camp 3, they discovered a surge of water entering the cave, a flood pulse triggered by a surface storm. Using a physical communication line running the cave's length, they alerted the team at Camp 6. Initially, the team wasn't overly concerned. Flood pulses are a common hazard. Camp 6's location, off the main vertical shaft and at a higher elevation than the cave's lowest point, seemed relatively safe. However, about half an hour after the warning, the sound of approaching water became audible, growing from a faint rumble to a deafening roar. A torrent of water cascaded down the vertical shaft. While their immediate location remained dry, a gurgling sound emanating from a nearby hole raised alarm. Upon inspection, water was visibly rising rapidly. The urgency to evacuate became paramount. In the ensuing chaos, Robbie made the difficult decision to abandon most of his expensive camera gear, prioritizing the safety of himself and his teammates. He retrieved the memory cards, placing them securely in his suit. He and Jeff began their ascent, leaving the rest of the Veryovkina team to follow with their leader, Pavel. Reaching a narrow traverse, now almost completely submerged, Robbie faced a waterfall pouring from the shaft above. Clipping his ascenders to the rope, he began his ascent through the crushing force of the water. Tucking his chin to create a small air pocket, he climbed as quickly as possible. Reaching a small outcropping, he faced another intense downpour emerging from a narrow hole. He pushed through, realizing Jeff would have to navigate the same obstacle. He continued climbing until Jeff caught up. They reached Camp 5 at 6,200 feet, 1,890 meters, anxiously awaiting the rest of the team. Miraculously, they soon spotted a headlamp below. It was Andre, who confirmed the others were behind. 15 minutes later, the remaining members of the Veryovkina team arrived, having navigated the now completely flooded passages, including Pavel, who had to escape a swirling whirlpool. Robbie and Jeff were astounded by the resilience of the Russian cavers. The team quickly settled into Camp 5, while Robbie remained deeply shaken. They were now trapped, as a necessary passage 200 feet, 61 meters, above them was completely flooded. They waited 16 hours for the water to recede. The flood pulse had lasted 20 hours, the result of a week of rain culminating in a severe storm. This experience led to improvements in surface monitoring and the installation of another camp as an additional escape point. Despite the shortened expedition, they had achieved their primary objectives. 2 years later, in November 2020, a rope was spotted at the cave entrance, a sign of unauthorized entry. 8 months later, in August 2021, the Veryovkina team returned and discovered equipment at 1,300 feet, 396 meters. Then a body at 3,600 feet, 1,097 meters. The body was identified as 37-year-old Sergei Kozev, an avid outdoorsman. Using information from his cell phones, it was determined he had planned the solo expedition for almost a year. He had descended into the cave alone, using maps and materials from previous Veryovkina expeditions. He reached the second camp, where he stayed for about a week before attempting further descent. It is believed he realized he couldn't proceed with his current equipment and attempted to ascend, but without proper foot stirrups for the vertical shafts, he became exhausted and succumbed to the cold. Retrieving his body required a team of over 100 people and involved cutting the body into pieces due to the challenging conditions and the risk of toxic gases from decomposition. His remains were eventually returned to his family. Veryovkina Cave currently holds the title of Earth's deepest cave. However, the vastness of the planet and the hidden nature of caves means this could change. The cave was only confirmed as the deepest in 2018. Whether it will retain this title remains to be seen. If you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more thrilling stories.